My nephew David made a short video on how to tell the difference between counterfeit silver bars and authentic silver bars. And it's got me thinking. Several years ago, I'm guessing I was probably getting darn close, 30 years ago, I read a story about a guy that supposedly had buried some silver. And I ended up finding this silver, and I thought it'd be kind of fun to take a couple of the bars I've kept and try David's test on them. Now, before we do that, I'll let you in on the story on the silver I found. As I was saying, quite a few years ago, I'm guessing 25, 30 years ago, I'd have to look up my records to find out for sure. I was doing my typical research, looking for something to go find with the metal detector, and I come across a newspaper article of an elderly gentleman who had passed away, and supposedly he had buried some silver that he had purchased, and nobody found it. So I thought, well, it's only a couple hours away from my house, so I did a little research, found out, the property, and got a hold of his grandson, who is now living on the property, and give him a call, and we set up a date and time to meet. Well, I drove up there and met with him, and he turned out to be a really nice guy, and he filled me in a little more on the story, and he was sure that the silver was on the property somewhere, because his grandfather kept real good records, and they know he had bought the silver, but there was no records of the silver ever being sold or anything. And he also told me that over the years there have been quite a few people up there looking for the silver, some with his permission, some without. So I thought, well, good as any other treasure to look for, so we made an agreement, and I got permission to search his property. And so I headed on home and started my plans for the first trip back up there. Well, on my first trip up there, I discovered that I'd brought the wrong machine with me. The machine I brought the detector with was an extremely good machine for picking up silver, but the ground I was working in was horribly mineralized, and after some testing I discovered I was only getting 3-4 inches deep with the machine I'd brought. So I pretty much just kind of laid out the place, got a look at it, and formulated a plan and headed on home. And after my first trip up there, I had a layout of the ground now, and where the houses were and all this, and so I was much better prepared. I decided to take my Goldmaster 2. It was much more suited for the soil. I had no discriminating ability, so I had to dig every target. And so I set up a grid system and started searching, and about halfway through the first day there, I found the silver. And the newspaper article I read said that there was 5,000 ounces of silver. The actual silver I found is 1,500 ounces, which is what his record said that was buried up there. And according to our agreement, the landowner and I split the silver. Well, I kept some of the silver bars just as keepsakes, and the rest went into good old retirement account. And those are the bars I'm going to use today to do a little test on, see if I found a real silver bar. Well, before we do the test, I'll show you David's video.
So in this video, I'm going to show you how to tell the difference between a counterfeit bar of silver and an authentic bar of silver. So I recently purchased this 10 troy ounce silver ingot on eBay. And anytime you purchase bullion or coins on eBay, you want to make sure that you're purchasing authentic products, because there are a lot of counterfeits floating around right now. And the counterfeits, what they'll typically do is they'll take a base metal, a cheaper metal, and they'll pour a precious metal around it, like silver or gold, and that way the exterior of the ingot or coin appears to be correct, while the interior is a cheaper base metal. So there's a few tests you can perform to ensure you've purchased a pure bar of silver or gold. First thing you need is a rare earth magnet or neodymium magnet, and you're checking to see if it has a base metal core. So if this was attracted to this magnet, we'd know there was immediately a problem. You should also check your coins like that. Now, one thing you can't see on the video, but you can kind of see there, is there is actually a little repulsory force actually on this magnet. So I do feel resistance as I pass it over, and that's because silver is diamagnetic, and that means in the presence of a magnetic field, it'll actually repel a magnet. So another way to see this or illustrate it is if I put this nickel on here and raise that up, it slides right off. But if I take a rare earth magnet, you can see the resistance causes it to slide off very slowly versus the nickel. So this is in fact a diamagnetic metal. The next thing we're going to do is just, and this is something you should also do with everything you buy, is check the weight. So this bar weighs 10 troy ounces, and each troy ounce is 31.1 grams. So we're going to put it on a scale to see how much it weighs. First thing we're going to do to calibrate the scale is we'll throw a nickel on it. Nickel weighs 5 grams, so we know our scale is accurate. And then we'll put the bar on there. And now this bar weighs 312 grams, so it's about just under a gram over what it should be. Now with these older poured bars, this older style, you know, it's okay to have a little variation in it, so that's not going to raise a red flag. But if this happened to be a newer bar, stamped like from Pamp Swiss or Royal Canadian Mint, then that would definitely be a problem. So the newer bars are much more accurate than these old bars. But this, less than a gram of tolerance is acceptable. And then the last test I'm going to do is a thermal conductivity test. So silver is one of the most thermally conductive metals. So if we measure the temperature of this bar, it's about 70 degrees. And the counter here is about 70 degrees as well. Slide this over. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a piece of ice, so it's a little warmer here, on this counter, and put a piece of ice on the silver and see the rate at which this ice melts. So we'll start off and give the counter a head start here. And we're going to let that sit there for just a few more seconds to give it a good head start. And I'm going to put the ice on the silver, and you can see just how quickly that ice is melting on that silver bar. It's quite rapid how quickly it melts, and the ice on the counter is barely melting at all. So you can see the rate at which that ice is melting is pretty rapid. So the ice is actually sliding off the silver bar now, and you can see it's already melted that pretty significantly, where this other piece of ice barely melted. So this metal is very thermally conductive, which is again indicative of silver and not a base metal, a cheaper metal. So those are just some tests you can do at home to confirm the authenticity of your silver bar or bullion. If you do happen to buy a counterfeit bar, make sure to take a lot of pictures of it, record the seller's name, and try to share that information with the community so that it doesn't happen to somebody else. And make sure, of course, report it to eBay so that seller is held accountable for selling counterfeit products. So, and if you are buying coins or bullion on eBay, I really encourage you to purchase a rare earth magnet, get a neodymium magnet to do the magnetic test yourself, and then also purchase some kind of digital scale or a triple beam or something so that you can effectively weigh these too. to ensure you're not getting ripped off. So hope this video was informative. Please share it with anybody else you know who is also purchasing bullion or coins on eBay to prevent them from getting ripped off as well. So thanks for watching.
Okay, well, that looks kind of fun, so I'm wanting to try it on my silver, so let's go. Okay, the first one we got here is, let's try a couple of silver rounds. Should be 31.1. That one's pretty close. Pretty close. Okay, how about a couple of small bars? Okay, that's a little heavier. That's 31.2. That's pretty much the same weight as that one. Now let's try the big boy, the 10 ounce. 311, so that's right where it should be. All right. Okay, let's try the magnet. I got my little magnet here. Put her on an angle and that's pretty cool. All right, let's try one of the little bars. That's working pretty good on the magnet. Try these. I don't know how well it's going to work on these. Well, I'd say so far we're doing pretty good. Okay, now we're going to try the ice. There's our cube on the counter. Put one on that coin, one on that one, and one on the big one. And there is quite a difference there. This one on the counter isn't even melting, and these are all going to town. All right. Well, that was a lot of fun. I'm glad my silver turned out to be silver. Kind of makes me want to go out and find some more silver so I can do this again. Now, if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you click the little bell up in the corner, you'll get a notification the next time I put a video out. And till the next time I put a video out, you have a wonderful day.